Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen, and a very, very good evening to you. It's David Briggs speaking here in my study on 123rd Street and Broadway in the hustle and bustle of this great city, which is New York. It's a very, very great honour to be invited to take part in today's International Organ Day on behalf of the Royal College of Organists. I was thinking, my first association with the RCO, amazingly, is now 43 years ago when I took my ARCO back in that wonderful old building in Kensington Gore, just huddled in by the side of the Royal Albert Hall. In many ways, it seems like yesterday. I remember the great figure of Sir John Dykes-Bower coming up the staircase in order to come and play the ear tests. In those days, it was a Bach chorale, and he played it about 3 or 4 times, and you had to circle the notes that were changed from the original. It was an unforgettable couple of days at the RCO, and I remember going back 18 months later to take my fellowship, also in Kensington Gore. And really ever since then, the college has meant a huge amount to me, and there's no doubt that the college diplomas are still really the gold standard, recognised throughout the world in terms of wonderful organ playing. Well, this evening I would love to improvise to you at the Cathedral St John the Divine. I have the great privilege of being the artist in residence at the cathedral. It's a cathedral that was started in around about 1888. It's about 3/4 finished, and we're still awaiting the west towers and the transepts. I would think they took 800 years to build Cologne Cathedral, so I reckon we're pretty much ahead of schedule. I've never been that interested in football, but apparently the length of the cathedral, which is 601 feet, is the equivalent of 2 entire football pitches. And we have a famous stop, a kind of unique sound really in the world. I think the state trumpet, situated en chamade at the west end on 50 inches of wind. And this stop, amazingly, has a different postcode to the rest of the instrument. As many of you might know, we also had a fire at St John the Divine, actually about 24 hours before the terrible inferno at Notre Dame. Ours was very contained. It just burned for about 13 or 14 minutes, and the fire department were absolutely fantastic. It was on Palm Sunday during the 9 o'clock Eucharist, and apparently some people thought they had a new type of incense. There was some smoke damage, and in fact the whole of the interior of the building was cleaned last autumn. It took about 3 or 4 months, and it looks absolutely amazing now. The organ, however, is still out of action because of the smoke damage, and it's going to be about another year or 18 months before all those 8,000 pipes, which have to be cleaned individually, and obviously it's a very, very delicate operation before that can take place. In the meantime, we are very much enjoying a replacement organ. It's a digital organ provided by the Walker Technical Company out of Zionsville, Pennsylvania. And of course here we have a 10-second acoustic, which does it no harm whatsoever. Having said that, it's an instrument with a lot of integrity, and providing you use the right stops and play it, as a friend of mine likes to say, give it the treatment, it really sounds spectacular in our acoustic. So this evening, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to improvise to you, and thank you so much for sending in so many ideas over the last few days for the subject of the improvisation. In time-honoured fashion, I have here an envelope, and within it is a theme, and maybe even a $10,000 check. Let's just see. Well, the theme is here, but they've missed out the check. There it is. Another day, maybe. So the winning theme that has been supplied, oh, this is great. It's a Duke Ellington theme from the late 1930s called Mood Indigo. Well, Duke Ellington had a very close relationship with St John the Divine. We're quite near to Harlem, where of course he performed hundreds, maybe thousands of times with his colleagues in the Jazzmen. And Mood Indigo dates from the late 1930s. One of his most well-known songs, and you can see it on YouTube, the original version. But here it is. We'll just see. His funeral took place at St John the Divine, and apparently there were more than 12,000 visitors. We still have his piano. It's a white Steinway Grand. What else? And it's situated in St James's Chapel. So I'm just looking at this theme here before improvising on it in a couple of hours. Looks to me, well, I can feel a Passacaglia coming on. Let's go over to the cathedral, see what happens.